Hackers and cybersecurity attacks are an ever growing threat to the United States. But exactly how much do we know about this threat? What can the President and Congress do about it? What should they be doing about it? Legislation has been attempted in the past, but its success has been limited, and there remains no national data security or privacy standard. This is the cybersecurity crisis. So, exactly how big are these cyber threats? Well, to put it simply,
It's huge. Um, Cyber attacks have always been a part of computing.
Cyber attacks are clearly one of the greatest threats to our national security.
Well, cybercrimes are a threat to absolutely everyone in every business. So in terms of scale, they have massive scale.
The United States is at war. Virtually unchecked for years, our adversaries have been stealing our intellectual property and disrupting American commerce and our democratic way of life. This war is being waged primarily on our nation's critical infrastructure, mainly the energy sector, telecommunications networks, and our financial system.
I mean, just think about it. Almost everything we do every day is on the internet. Our banking, our medical records, electronic election ballots. Imagine what happens when somebody is able to access all of that information. Identities are stolen, money is taken, and there's even a risk that entire governments could be completely shut down. This is how big this threat is. And the biggest surprise of all, most people don't even care. According to a series of surveys contained in the 2020 Unisys Security Index, 70% of Americans are not concerned about their data security or being scammed while working from home, despite the significant rise in cyber attacks during the pandemic. So, what can the government do about these cybersecurity threats? Turns out this is actually a pretty difficult question to answer. They've already tried making multiple laws to help against cyber attacks, but judging by the fact that there were still Russian interferences in both the 2016 and 2020 elections, laws like this may not have worked. Now, what should the government be doing about this threat?
I think there's going to be a renewed sense of, hey, the old set of rules don't work. And some of this is going to be rules that we need to create in this country. Some of this is about how you create some level of international norms.
So, what is this old set of rules? Well, one of these rules, and possibly the most significant one, might be the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act, which was enacted 5 years ago. The main provisions of the act make it easier for companies to share private information with the government, especially in cases of cybersecurity threats, while not requiring that sharing of information. The act creates a system in which private businesses can share information with the state and local governments and the federal government. Interestingly, while there was wide support for the act, there was also some opposition to it. Some businesses like Twitter, Yelp, Apple, and Reddit were against it due to privacy concerns. Some privacy advocate groups also opposed the act, but despite the opposition, it became a law. Unfortunately, it appears that the law was not as effective as it was intended to be, perhaps because it establishes a voluntary process, not a required one. In 2017, 2 years after the law was passed, national data breaches reached an all-time high, and many experts have called 2020 a cyber pandemic. So what more can Congress do about this cybersecurity crisis? One of the main things that Congress should do is create a national data security or privacy standard. One that is, unlike CISA, required. This would make it so that every business that could be affected by cyber attacks will be better protected against them. Congress will face certain challenges in putting this to place. This would cost a lot, and it would be hard to create a standard that applied to all businesses. Even if they did make a standard, how will they get companies to comply, and what enforcement measures are appropriate? While these are significant hurdles, Congress needs to face them head on. This is the big issue that Congress, along with the president, should be trying to figure out in 2021. And the groundwork has been laid for this Congress and this president to do just that. Just last month, the president signed into law the Internet of Things Cybersecurity Improvement Act of 2020, which establishes minimum security standards for Internet of Things devices owned or controlled by the government. This is a great start, and I hope that Congress and the president keep going forward with cybersecurity measures like this. I believe that this is the way to get out of the cybersecurity crisis.